Hello everyone, we are going to start in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Assalamualaikum and good evening everyone. As we are about to begin, please be seated. I request all of you to kindly switch your mobile phone settings to silent mode. Also, please bow if you would like to leave or enter this hall. Welcome to the GenZ at the Podium 2023, organized by Kini Events in collaboration with International Republican Institute, IRI, supported by Parliament Malaysia and Ministry of Youth and Sports. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to graciously thanks to our partner, Soft Skills Training Partner MIDP, Metaverse Partner EDT, Airline Partner My Airline, all our co-partners and media partners. The motion topic for today is the rising cost of living in Malaysia and will be chaired by Yang Berhormat Datuk Wan Saiful Wanjan, Member of Parliament Tasik Gelugo. For your information, today's debaters are about 100 youths aged between 16 and 25, and they are from all over Malaysia. Not only the youth, we are pleased to also have politician special guests to join them, and they are YB Datuk Wiramas Ermiyati, Member of Parliament Masjid Tanah, YB Chong Zemin, Member of Parliament Kampa. At the end of today's session, we will also select and announce the best debater, and for that, I would like to introduce the panel judges for this session. They are Mr. Brian Robert Brown, Program Director Malaysia, IRI, Amelia Sharif, CEO of MIDP, Amy Suhana, Content and Marketing Officer MIDP, and Diana Rose from Kini Events and Kini Group. To start this debate session, I will now hand over to the Secretary of the House of Representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Tivyashini, anak perempuan Mahendran daripada barisan kerajaan akan mencadangkan usul.
Cek. Salam sejahtera dan salam Malaysia Madani. Saya Tivyashini, anak perempuan Mahendran daripada barisan kerajaan akan mencadangkan usul bahawa persidangan ini akan mendesak kerajaan untuk mengambil langkah-langkah segera, khususnya kenaikan minimum gaji minimum untuk menghadapi isu kenaikan kos sara hidup di Malaysia.
Ada sesiapa yang menyokong?
Saya dari pihak kerajaan menyokong dengan sepenuhnya cadangan usul ini.
Terima kasih. Ahli-ahli perwakilan Jabatan Parlimen Belia, masalah sekarang ini terbuka untuk dibahas. Saya persilakan pembahas pertama daripada barisan pembangkang Michelle Dinesh Matthew. Am I right? Oh, government first, right? Okay. So something wrong with the script. I do apologize. So please.
Tuan Speaker, izinkan saya berbahas dalam bahasa Inggeris. First of all, let me define the cost of living. The cost of living is defined as the amount of money needed to cover basic expenses, while the rising cost of living indicates an increase in overall expenses required to maintain a certain standard of living over time. So my question is, why there is a rise in the cost of living? It is proven that the slower minimum wage growth is the root cause of the rising cost of living. Minimum wage is defined as the legally mandated lowest hourly, daily and monthly wage that employers are required to pay their employees. In Malaysia, the concept of minimum wage was introduced by Wages Council Act 1947, and based on Act 732 in Malaysian law, the government should be revisiting this amount every 2 years. According to the data that from Department of the Statistics Malaysia, it is stated that the last year's minimum wage, which was RM 1,200, which is equivalent to the USD 287, is one of the lowest in the Southeast Asia. If we compare the wages to other Southeast Asian countries, the minimum wage that we should have is RM 1,800. Thus, we can witness that the slower wage growth is one of the dominant reasons in the rising cost of living. So, an increase in the minimum wages is necessary to reduce the cost of living and transform Malaysia into the high-income nation, because the current wage level is low. That makes the employees not to cope up with the increased cost of living. According to the analysis by B&M, the income for more than half of households in Malaysia is insufficient to absorb the surging cost of living. And thus, I would propose that the increment of minimum wage is necessary because it directly boosts the income of these individuals to afford more purchasing power, and also to cover their basic essential needs, and also to contribute to the poverty alleviation. So it is proven that increasing wages does not hurt the economy, but it will also benefit the employees and employers, as the study conducted, which is proven by the study conducted by the European Central Bank. So, although the opposition might say that, okay, thank you very much.
Terima kasih, wakil daripada pihak kerajaan. Masalah sekarang terbuka untuk dibahaskan. And I come back to you, Michelle Dinesh.
Salam sejahtera semua. Tuan Speaker, tolong izinkan saya untuk meneruskan ucapan saya dalam bahasa Inggeris. Ladies and gentlemen, today's motion concerns whether increasing the minimum wage is the most effective starter to tackling the rising cost of living. The root problem being the rising cost of living. And increasing the minimum wage does not tackle this problem head on and merely provides the rakyat with the means of surviving with increased income while the cost of living continues to rise. Instead, the government should be focused on reducing the rising cost of living. The problem with the minimum wage is that it does not tackle the problem, which is the rising cost of living, inclusively across all wage distributions. According to a study conducted by Kazana Research Institute published this year, the effects of the minimum wage are only restricted to low-income earners. They found that earners in the middle of the wage distribution have experienced the lowest wage growth, and so therefore the minimum wage is going to have a minimal effect in helping them tackle the rising cost of living. Not only will middle income earners be left out, but so will businesses. Not all businesses in Malaysia are rich enough to increase their wages. In fact, only 3% of all businesses in Malaysia are big corporate companies who can handle increasing their wages. The other 97% of businesses in Malaysia are small, medium enterprises or SMEs who will be unable to accommodate paying higher wages to their workers as they are already paying them a wage which is well above the current minimum wage. In fact, upon the implementation of 1,500 ringgit as the new minimum wage, which took effect last month, the SME Association of Malaysia came out and said that 90% of all businesses in Malaysia already pay wages of about 2,300 ringgit, which is well above the current minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit. And so therefore, increasing the minimum wage is going to be obsolete, as what extra effect will it have on the majority of workers in Malaysia who already earn much more than the current minimum wage? And I would like to conclude by mentioning that there are much more effective ways for the government to strengthen wages in Malaysia, such as investing in human capital to upskill workers and make them more capable of working in more modern forms of work that require more skills and thus guarantee a higher source of income. Or the government can focus on tackling the main problem at hand by subsidizing the production of basic necessities, which will reduce the cost of living. These are better ways of strengthening wages rather than adopting a textbook approach by increasing the minimum wage. And so with this, I hope that I've established the many discrepancies associated with increasing the minimum wage. It is not an inclusive approach, as middle income earners will be left out. If we implement it, many businesses cannot pay for it. And lastly, many are already earning above the current minimum wage. So it will be an obsolete effect. Not only will it have minimal effect in tackling the rising cost of living, it will also worsen the rising cost of living. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Saya pembahas tadi dah habis dah. Jadi kecelahan sepatutnya dibuat semasa pembahas sedang bercakap. Jadi mungkin selepas ni boleh mencelah lagi. Tapi itu first time saya tengok dalam Dewan Parlimen tak ada celahan lah. Aman, tenteram betul bahas ni. Saya persilakan pembahas daripada pihak kerajaan, Lisa Amanda May Krishnan.
Tuan Speaker, izinkan saya berbahas dalam bahasa Inggeris. Terima kasih. A very good day to everyone. First and foremost, thank you for allowing a 16-year-old student like me to be part of the government bloc to discuss a topic of paramount importance. Should the minimum wage be increased to tackle the rising cost of living in Malaysia? It is our contention that raising the minimum wage is not only a compassionate approach to alleviate financial struggles, but also a catalyst for economic prosperity. When we raise the minimum wage, we empower low-income workers with higher spending capabilities, effectively elevating their living standards. In Malaysia, where income disparities have been a persistent issue, this is a pivotal step towards a more equitable society.
Tuan Speaker, saya
kalau nak benarkan, sekejap kita tanya bagi benarkan tidak.
I would happily oblige, but after my speech, please. Thank you.
Okay. Dekat ujung-ujung tu, sebelum habis kena bagi ruang. Kalau tidak dah habis, habis dah. Okay.
Jangan lupa.
When we raise the minimum wage, we empower low-income workers with higher spending capabilities, effectively elevating their living standards. In Malaysia, where income disparities have been a persistent issue, this is a pivotal step towards a more equitable society. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the median monthly household income of the bottom 40% of households is significantly lower than the national average. By increasing the minimum wage, we can narrow this gap, offering the disadvantaged opportunity to meet their basic needs. Turning our attention to Malaysia, a comprehensive strategy is essential to ensure the success of this endeavour. Firstly, effective inflation controls must be implemented to prevent an undue rise in prices. The government can collaborate with relevant bodies to monitor and regulate price hikes, ensuring that the increased minimum wage does not inadvertently lead to inflation, thus safeguarding the purchasing power of the vulnerable. Additionally, targeted subsidies can be introduced to mitigate the impact of rising costs. By subsidizing essential goods such as food, healthcare and education, the government can directly ease the financial burden on low-income households. This approach has been successfully executed in our neighbouring... 1%.
Saya?
Boleh pilih salah seorang yang mana nak bagi mencelah? What do you choose? Which one?
Speaker, saya rasa perlu berikan kepada pembangkang juga, Speaker.
Please. Can you switch on your mic?
I would like to address the first point made by the first speaker from opposition earlier, the fact that Malaysia compromises of SMEs and they wouldn't be able to afford the higher minimum wage. The fact is we are not giving a specific figure of a higher minimum wage. It is still within a range, but a higher range of minimum wage, which means that those firms who can afford to pay and would like to attract better workers can pay at a higher minimum wage range. Okay. And those who are unable to afford can pay the lower minimum wage. Okay. Within the higher range.
Okay, mohon mencela. Boleh ke?
Ya. Jelisa, boleh kita bagi ruang pada salah seorang? Okay. Which one?
Boleh dua orang?
It's your floor, you decide.
Saya?
Ya.
Okay, dengan izin Tuan Speaker, saya ingin bertutur dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi, side government keeps on talking about the lower income groups. But do you not realise that those struggling with the rising cost of living, it's not just the low income groups. Thank you.
Boleh saya mencela juga? Boleh saya mencela juga?
Jelisa, which one?
Saya dah berdiri lambat dah.
You need to decide one, Jelisa. Kita masa berjalan ya.
Okay. That one dah.
Okay, sila.
Saya rasa kerajaan hari ini ada tertinggal banyak perkara. Pertama, ada duri dalam daging. Sebab hari ini katanya yang Perdana Menteri nak naikkan sehingga 1,800. Tiba-tiba yang belakang hanya bagi galakan sahaja untuk menaikkan. Ini pertama perkara yang lompong. Kalau kita galakkan sahaja, tiada MSME yang akan menaikkan gaji tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Saya ada 3 lagi perkara nak tanya. Pertama, berapa banyak sebenarnya yang kerajaan ingin laksanakan? Kedua, bila akan dilaksanakan? Dan ketiga, adakah Yang Berhormat membuat kajian sebentar tadi bagaimanakah kerajaan hari ini dan industri bersedia untuk membayar? Sebab pada Mei 2023, 200 syarikat telah dikesan tidak membayar gaji minimum. Bagaimanakah Yang Berhormat ingin menyatakan hari ini industri sudah bersedia? Terima kasih.
Yang Berhormat.
Okay.
Saya Yang Berhormat Lisa. Ke nak bagi mencelah lagi ni? Okay, please.
Okay, first of all, I didn't mention the word that we are increasing the minimum wage to 1,800. I said that the average should be, for now, should be RM 1,800. And then, for those who are speaking about the SMEs, I would like to implement a policy called a phased approach, which means we will never leave a financial strain on the SMEs, where we can divide the intended increase into multiple increments. Wait, let me finish. Multiple increments spread over several years. If our goal is to reach a certain minimum wage, we can plan to raise it incrementally each year until the target is achieved. In which way we did not put the financial strain on the SMEs.
Okay,
thank you.
Boleh saya mencela?
Saya
satu soalan je. Saya nak beritahu satu benda saja. Boleh ke? Okay. Just now, the Honourable Yang Diberhormat just mentioned that we will not increase it by a large margin. However, the current the fact of the matter is, I just mentioned, the SME Association of Malaysia said that 90% of businesses are already paying workers a wage of 2,300. So the current minimum wage is 1,500. You're going to have to increase it well above 2,300 to accommodate low-wage earners. And also, what's the point of increasing it if people are already earning such a high minimum wage? What extra effect is that going to have? The prices of goods are still going to rise. What you need to tackle is the rising cost of living. You need to reduce the cost of living, not just provide people with the means of surviving it.
Thank you. Can we allow the government representative to wrap up? I think we're running way above time now.
Can I just answer his question?
Please.
Okay, thank you for your question. To mitigate the impact on businesses or SMEs, especially small ones, we plan to implement a phased approach where the minimum wage increase is recommended. This gradual implementation provides businesses with time to adjust and plan to the changes. Additionally, offering tax incentives or subsidies to the smaller businesses can help alleviate the potential burden of increased labour costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I think you have all the time to rebut that if you want. So please, can I invite the next one from the opposition, Krishani Vigneshwaran.
Terima kasih, Datuk Speaker. Dengan izin Speaker, saya akan berbahas dalam bahasa Inggeris. So, clearly the government doesn't see that increasing the minimum wage will only cause more problems. Just like stated by the Prime Minister, it will appeal more better workers. One of the problems from increasing the minimum wage is the replacement of workers with no specialized skills. Businesses would essentially replace jobs that were done by these workers with more skilled workers. This would prevent younger, elderly, and less experienced workers to gain experience in moving forward in their careers, earn money to sustain their lives, which we're debating right here today. On top of retaining these workers, the minimum wage raise would mean an increase in cost to run a business. Employers would not hesitate to result in retrenchment, which enables them to increase revenue and increase efficiency. Not only that, but one of the major problems from increasing the minimum wage is inflation. For example, in July of 2022,
would you allow Krishani? Ada satu celahan?
No, thank you. For example, in July of 2022, many Malaysians struggled as prices of groceries spiked and supplies were disrupted. A housewife in Puchong said that she could no longer afford 1 carton of eggs. Instead, she could only buy 10 eggs at one time to save costs. For many families that cannot afford other protein foods such as chicken and fish, eggs have become a staple food, and now they can't even afford them.
There's more people standing. Would you allow them or not yet? Your choice. Terus keliru member.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Wage push inflation will also be one of the results. To maintain profits, employers must increase their prices for goods and services they provide to maintain the same level of profitability. Eventually, as prices of goods and services in market increases, higher wages will be needed to compensate. It's a never-ending cycle. So if you want a world where we can actually tackle the rising cost of living with less negative effects, please side with us, the opposition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Saya minta maaf sebab daripada sebelah opposition tidak benarkan tadi. So Dah habis ke ataupun ada lagi ni? Okay. So now let me invite the next representative from the government side, Quactor Me. Dia kalau ada siapa-siapa yang nak mencelah, may I request that you just continue standing up until the person speaking allows you to speak. Janganlah bangun daripada sekarang. Please.
Terima kasih Tuan Speaker, salam sejahtera dan salam Malaysia Madani. Bersyukur menjadi rakyat Malaysia, bumi bertuah, indah permai. 66 tahun kita merdeka, rakyat hidup aman dan damai. Sebelum memulakan perbahasan ini, saya ingin mengucapkan selamat Hari Kebangsaan ke-66 kepada semua rakyat Malaysia. Tuan Speaker, izinkan saya untuk meneruskan bahasan saya dalam bahasa Inggeris. Terima kasih Tuan Speaker. Greetings to the member of the floor. Merdeka, which symbolizes our freedom and economic independence, remind us the importance of self-sufficiency and prosperity for our nation. Today, as we discuss the motion, it is essential to recognize that economic freedom and well-being of our citizens are deeply interconnected. This led us to the motion today. Increasing the minimum wage can be seen as a step forward towards achieving the economic prosperity that our forefathers envisioned. 3 points I would like to rebut the opposition. Firstly, the leader of opposition saying that the mistakenly identified the issue as rising cost of living. The issue itself is not rising cost of living. If we have higher spending power, then then it shouldn't be a problem. Like Singapore, we have...
Mohon mencelah.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay. Duduk. So, first point I would like to rebut about inflation. Firstly, we acknowledge that the increasement of minimum wage comes with a risk of inflation. Therefore, the government will adopt a soft approach with few mitigating factors. Listen first. Duduk semua. Firstly, the current one-size-fits-all approach is ineffective. The previous government have raised to 1,500 to all workers. This is ineffective because it fails to account the varying living costs across different regions in Malaysia. For instance, someone living in KL needs more money than someone in Perlis because the cost of living relatively cheaper there. To address this, I would like to add on Yang Ahmad Berhormat's speech that we will introduce a new benchmarking system that tailors the minimum wage to employees' specific sector, city, and their company size. And this will... Okay, satu. Yeah.
Sila. Saya tengok kat depan ni si Daniel ni semangat semua ni.
Okay. Terima kasih Tuan Speaker. Terima kasih pihak kerajaan. Izinkan saya berucap dalam bahasa Inggeris. Ladies and gentlemen, the honorable speakers, I believe that the government failed to understand basic economy. Let me explain the basic of economy 101. When the people have more power of buying, they will have the prices of the goods will increase. Therefore, will increase inflation. So what I'm trying to say here, the government's solution is not a final solution. It's just adding or not ending the circle of inflation. It's just increase, naik, tak tahu bila turun. That's the problem. Now, we as the government, the pembangkang, the opposition, sorry. Guys, it's late, so I'm so sorry. We are maybe a bit more educated. We are like to propose a progressive wages policy where the company is actually earning a lot, but they're not increasing the salary of their workers. So by using this policy, when the company is earning more, they should increase the salary of their workers. Correct or not? Not go to the pocket of the CEOs or the board of directors. That's first. Second, they are asking us to increase the minimum wage to 1,800, correct? Betul Ben ya, betul. Terima kasih. Now the problem here is that Malaysia, we have a lot of state. Not all state, the cost of living are the same. In Klang Valley is the highest. But then how about in Perlis? How about in Terengganu? How about in Sabah and Sarawak? If you increase your salary unilaterally to 1,800, it will create more inflation in that state. It will not give a final solution. So I hope the government give a better solution. Thank you very much.
Sila pihak kerajaan.
Thank you, YB. Rising cost of living is an issue that we need to tackle both government and opposition. I think most of you agree with this. If YB closely following my speech just now, the government will propose a new benchmarking system. It is not one-size-fits-all approach like how the previous government did. Now, we will have a minimum wage that tailors to the specific city where they are living, region, and also their company size. And this is not only one approach. We will be subject to an annual review, considering factors such as productivity, inflation rate, CPI under metrics, to let this minimum wage stay relevant. Let me finish my speech. Secondly, about inflation. Just now, my fellow opposition said that it will increase inflation and there is a never-ending cycle. However, our contention is that here, our minimum wages will not only be an increasement, but it will also coupled with higher productivity. The government will launch the Rama Upskilling Program, partnered with university and colleges, offering free courses to these workers for skill development and productivity achievements. And this will elevate their social mobility and build a strong skill workforce. The whole idea here is that when we have higher skill, the workers will get more skills to negotiate for better pay. And
yes, because I find a discrepancy within that point. Because if the productivity increases, firms are going to have to pay their workers more. And if they pay their workers more, their purchasing power increases. As a result of that, aggregate demand in the economy is going to increase, which puts upward pressure on prices, which worsens the rising cost of living. So I hope that the members of the government understand the basic law of economics, whereby if you do increase the purchasing power of consumers, it's just going to lead to more inflation. So your point is redundant. Sorry.
Sila, Cik, mungkin boleh wrap up.
Alright, so thank you. So I think the opposition doesn't understand here. What we want to do is, firstly, we increase the minimum wage that tailors not only 1,008 is not actually what we propose. It is a research. If you have listened wrongly from our Yaban Berhmat speech, it is just a reference and a research conducted by the Ministry of Finance. What we want is not a one-size-fits-all approach. We want tailored-made minimum wage. And secondly, to wrap up, about the upskill development program, now the workers that have better skill, they will have better pay, and this will lead to, we will curb the issue of poverty and so on.
Dah habis ke ataupun are you done or?
Yeah, I will give to Ali. Listen.
Sila.
So my proposition to the government is to include to establish a regulatory body to mic check, is it on?
Boleh.
So to establish a regulatory body to to cap off prices of produce while increasing minimum wage. Not only just increasing the minimum wage, but also establish a regulatory body to regulate the prices of foods and basic needs in the market. So that's my suggestion to the government.
Okay.
Mohon mencela.
Are you finished or?
Yeah, I'm finished. I can give one to...
Yes, please. Please. There's a...
To the leader of opposition.
There's a problem associated with trying to cap the price of goods and services while increasing the minimum wage. Because if you cap the prices of goods and services, the supply of goods and services is going to decrease. And if the supply decreases, that leads to an increase in price, causing inflation. One of the main factors behind Malaysia's all-time inflation rate, record high inflation rate last year, which was 4.2%, was two things: supply disruption and a high wage growth. This is not said by me. This is said by, this was reported by The Edge Malaysia last year upon the obtaining of the inflation rate.
Thank you, Head of
Okay.
Opposition.
I think let's ask the original speaker. Are you done or you?
Yeah. I'd like to wrap up my perbahasan.
Please.
Okay.
YB Melvin, give me a shot, man.
So very quick one because we have gone over time now.
Yeah, okay. So Ladies and gentlemen, inflation will only occur if employers are paying higher for their employees that has lower skills and tends to have reduced productivity. But here we are suggesting that with increased productivity, they should be given equivalent wages. And that sums up my perbahasan. With that, I will urge the members of the floor to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I now invite the next speaker from the opposition side, Muhammad Adam bin Muhammad Ashraf. And can I also say one more thing? If so many of your friends want to speak, the trick here is while you have the floor, bagilah kawan-kawan sikit. So,
InsyaAllah Datuk Speaker, saya akan berbuat demikian. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih Datuk Speaker. Pada hari ini saya mohon izin untuk teruskan ucapan dalam bahasa Inggeris. So, it is clear today that the fundamental issue at hand is the rising cost of living. And the government's solution or idea to increase the minimum wage just won't work. And they didn't even know what they were talking about throughout the whole debate just now. So today, side opposition will highlight on why there are many more effective starters, I repeat, starters, to handle this issue, and why the government suggestion just won't work. So before I go further, I want to bring some statistics, Datuk Speaker. According to DOSM, 82% of formal sectors in Malaysia earn less than 5,000 ringgit a month. 35% of them earn less than 2,000 ringgit a month, while the remaining 47% earn between the 2,000 to 5,000 ringgit. So how are we going to help those in this middle income? To add on to that, I brought this. Yang Berhormat Menteri Ekonomi, Rafizi. Beliau berkata, 47% pekerja sektor formal terima gaji di bawah paras garis kemiskinan. Berapakah paras garis kemiskinan di Malaysia? RM2,589. Jadi mereka nak meningkatkan gaji minima, tetapi ini tidak dapat menangani isu ini. Jadi, let me get on to my points dulu. Hold on, saya akan bagi sekejap lagi. So first of all, kita start dengan short term starter. Okay, when we talk about issues of cost of living, there needs to be immediate interventions. So, for instance, fuel subsidies in Malaysia have been enjoyed by all classes, including the rich, for way too long. So, with the government spending as much as 50 billion ringgit. So, it is time we redirect these subsidies towards those who need them most. So, therefore, our proposal is to implement targeted subsidies. I repeat, targeted subsidies for B40 and M40 groups. Selain itu, kita lihat kerajaan Madani pada hari ini yang memperuntukkan 64 bilion ringgit dari segi subsidi dan insentif. In addition to that, kita lihat the perfect example to this short-term measure is also the 100 million allocated to the Jualan Rahmah, carried out in all 222 parliamentary constituencies. And Jualan Rahmah, Datuk Speaker, sells goods for 30% lower compared to market price. Dan inilah cara kita dapat bantu rakyat dalam jangka masa pendek ini, di mana mereka sedang menghadapi keperitan hidup. Saya berikan kepada Yang Berhormat di belakang.
Okay, terima kasih. Hello. Yeah. YB Tuan Speaker, izinkan untuk berbahas dalam bahasa Inggeris. So I'll go back to the speech by the Prime Minister herself. At the start, she said that why is there a reason behind the rising cost of living? And she says it's the low minimum wage growth. But if you actually study it well, I'm not denying that low minimum wage growth is not a reason, but the bigger reason is inflation itself. And I would like to also add on to a second point that the government side said that by increasing the minimum wage, there will be a higher spending capability for people. So are you suggesting that with higher spending capability, it will solve higher cost of living? Because in my opinion, and what economics have shown, is that higher spending capability, as my learned friend had explained in his Economics 101 class, is that higher spending capability will only increase commodity prices in the short and also long run. And so therefore, increasing spending capability, I don't think is a sustainable way to curb higher cost of living in the long run. Therefore, increasing minimum wage just to curb this is not really a sustainable method.
Thank you.
Okay. Terima kasih rakan saya dari pihak pembangkang. Saya benarkan lagi satu. Ada sesiapa?
Sebelah depan ni pun ada juga yang minta.
Silakan.
Mohon bercakap Muhammad.
Saya bagi dia dulu.
Alright, let's
I'm going to wrap the entire government up in one very simple speech. You have not, all three speakers have not told us what is the minimum they want to raise it to. It's a minimum. There has to be a figure. There's no range. Yes, there has to be still a figure. The question is,
it's progressive based on the industry. Minimum wage based on the industry. The part of industry.
That's progressive. That's not.
It's not progressive because it's minimum wage. It's
hang on.
Allow me.
Let's address.
Okay. Pull down.
Let us address the first three speakers, the main three speakers. And yes, I was following your speech very closely. And I believe the third speaker said, today's motion is not about the cost of living. I'm sorry, did you not read the motion? Are you here today on just because you needed to show up? This is to curb the rising cost of living. And you not being able to tell us what you're raising the cost of living to is a problem. You telling us that you want to implement a progressive
yang berbahagia. It's minimum wage based on industry.
Sekejap. Hang on. One second. Let's have some decorum. You're turning into a proper Dewan Rakyat. So let's not get. So please.
Let me present the government with their own document, the Belanjawan 2023, where you're spending 380 billion ringgit, money we don't have because our revenue last year, let me check, up 230 billion, with a deficit of 90 billion after cost and expenditure. So let me ask you, even as a developing nation that's borrowing money from the World Bank, which is, by the way, 1.5 trillion in Malaysian debt, by the way. So you're spending government money we don't have to correct a thing that you cannot correct with this method. So you're spending more to allow us to spend more money that we don't have. What is the government trying to do?
By increasing the
I
minimum wage.
think
saya floor saya. Please sit down. Duduk.
Yeah.
Okay. So
ini floor untuk Adam. So
nanti saya berikan kepada pembangkang. Ya. Okay. So kepada kerajaan. Tak maaf, terlupa siapa kerajaan pembangkang pula pada hari ini.
Kena laju sikit.
Okay, saya habiskan. Okay, so moving on to the topic of progressive taxation. This is a long-term starter. So my fellow opposition member talked about reducing debt. So we will propose a better taxation system in the sense that the amount of income that escapes taxation as a result of tax deductions is larger for higher income taxpayers than for their lower income counterparts. So the problem here, Datuk Speaker, is that the taxpayer system disproportionately favors the higher income strata. So to add on to that, Malaysia's tax to GDP ratio was 11.8% in 2021, which is 8% below the average in Asia Pacific and 22% lower the average than OECD countries. So the remedy, Datuk Speaker, to this is clear, which is to elevate the top marginal income tax rate. In Malaysia, it is 30%. But when we compare to other countries such as Thailand, 35%, Korea, 45%, Malaysia is still relatively low. So we tax the rich, we redistribute that, and we will ease the burden for the rakyat. So, Datuk Speaker, to wrap up my speech, our responsibility today lies in crafting policies that truly benefit our citizens. So, especially those grappling with the rising cost of living. And I have to remind the SAID government again today that all layers of society are struggling with the rising cost of living. D40, M40, they are struggling. So, saya nak menggulung, kita perlu cari jalan untuk benar-benar selamatkan rakyat dan negara kita. Dan apa yang dibentangkan oleh kerajaan pada hari ini tidak konsisten, mereka tidak konkret, mereka tidak mempunyai idea yang bernas untuk benar-benar menyumbang kepada negara. Jadi, apa yang dicadangkan oleh pembangkang hari ini saya ringkaskan, iaitu subsidi bersasar, melaraskan model percukaian dan pada masa yang sama insya-Allah kita mengekalkan kemampanan fiskal demi Malaysia yang tercinta. Terima kasih Datuk Speaker. Saya mohon membangkang usul ini.
Terima kasih. Cik baik tak silap. Anyway, terima kasih atas perbahasan tadi. Sekarang saya persilakan wakil daripada pihak kerajaan untuk menggulung Pan Yun Ning.
Selamat petang Tuan Speaker. Izinkan saya untuk meneruskan bahasa dalam bahasa Inggeris. So the implication for an increasing minimum wage in Malaysia is an effective approach to ensure the sustainability of household income and particularly safeguarding social welfare for low and medium income group. However, we know that the medium monthly wage for Malaysians falls short of meeting the minimum living standard. Recognizing the inefficiency of the current one-size-fits-all approach like the minimum wage, so we acknowledge there is the need to change. So therefore, we should introducing a progressive minimum wage is important to address the issue that opposition say that. So first, development an innovative benchmarking system design to adjust the minimum wage to distinct economy relative of different city or region where employees work. So by customize the minimum wage for those specific contexts, we aim to establish a fair compensation structure that cooperate more accurately with the local economic conditions. So second, improving the worker skills is a transformative step for the median income group. So the government will provide the empowering program to provide them more professional training for fresh grad and also the skilled labor. A professional on the job training allowance for Malaysians, like the government recent initiative, the Perjalanan Kerjaya, will pave the way for more successful career path and higher salary without depends government help. So at the same time as the overseas say the SME, so this initiative also benefit SMEs as well. So we acknowledge that there's a lot of potential opportunity costs that are associated with policy implementation. So we cannot deny that the labor costs, production costs will increase with the minimum wage. So we're placing a significant, however, on government to prioritize SME, offer a variant policies program for assistance. So for example, the recent stimulus package, the Madini Economy Framework serves as a blueprint to emphasize the step-out support, funding business and micro loan, scheming through technique, vocational education and training, and substantial resource allocations for SME. So in conclusion, this proposed measure address the challenge of the rising cost of living while forcing the economic growth and individual empowerment. Absolutely fighting the inflation is a collective effort that involves not just only the government, but also the private sector and all Malaysians working together. We should call upon all members to lead your support to this mention. Thank you.
Terima kasih Pan Yuning daripada pihak kerajaan. Sekarang kita pertama sekali saya nak ucap terima kasih banyak kepada semua yang membahaskan usul yang dibentangkan oleh pihak kerajaan daripada dua-dua pihak lah yang membahaskan. Terima kasih atas your contribution and your participation. It's an interesting one. Late in the afternoon but still quite heated. If only we had more time. Tapi macam mana pun sekarang saya nak mempersilakan Yang Berhormat Datuk Wira Mas Ermiati Syamsuddin, Ahli Parlimen Masjid Tanah, untuk menyampaikan sedikit komen beliau. Ada mikrofon ke?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera Yang Berhormat, Yang Di-Pertua Speaker, Yang Berhormat Datuk Wan Saiful Wan Jan, Yang Berhormat Senator Puan Hajah Fuziah binti Saleh, Yang Berhormat YB Kampar. A very good session to the respected debaters from the opposition and the members of the floor. In the quest to address the pressing issue of rising living costs, it's imperative that we look beyond the well-trodden path and explore alternative solutions that can yield meaningful and alternative solution that can get meaningful and lasting results. Raising the minimum wage can have unintended consequences on the economy. While it might provide immediate relief to low-income workers, it can also lead to potential job losses, particularly in industries with thin profit margin. Businesses might respond by reducing hiring, cutting hours, or increasing automation to offset higher labor costs. This could be potentially exacerbate unemployment and reduce overall economic growth. Instead of solely relying on minimum wage hikes, a more comprehensive approach could involve addressing underlying factors contributing to the rising cost of living. Additionally, targeted social programs or tax policies might be more effective in supporting low-income individuals without disrupting the job market or causing inflation. There is other approach that can be taken that are less risky and providing a stable growth for our country. One of the options is by supporting local industries, and also agriculture, and diversifying our economy and reducing reliance on imported goods. Can also have a positive impact on the cost of living. Malaysia's reliance on imported commodities has long been a major factor to growing living costs. According to Department of Statistics Malaysia data, Malaysia food import total RM 482.8 billion over the last decade, while export total RM 296 billion. A precise planning was required in developing a more sustainable food supply in the future. Thus, it needed to be assessed so that a stable development plan could be adopted in order to achieve the goal. The best example that we can take is China, which has 7% of the arable land, and with that, they feed 22% of the world population. In the 20th century, China struggled to feed its large population, and after that, upgrading farming policies and technologies make China big time self-sufficiency and growth. By supporting local industries and agriculture, we can create jobs, reduce transportation costs, and also enhance food security. The support given also would open to an opportunity to further increases of our export goods, therefore promoting our products on a global scale while generating more incomes for the people. Yang Berhormat Tuan Speaker, next we need to take on the approach on promoting financial literacy and consumer education. A study conducted by Putri Rosita Tahir, published in International Journal of Accounting, Finance and Business, stated that youngsters have been declared bankrupt, not only due to loans, but also due to the credit card. This study found that even though these youth lack the ability to use credit card effectively, this claim is also backed by the statistic released by the Malaysian Department Insolvency, MDI, that stated 0.32% of declared bankruptcy cases were youth under 25 years old from 2019 to July 2023. Education is a powerful tool that can empower individuals to make informed decisions by promoting financial literacy and consumer education. We can equip our citizens with the knowledge and skill to manage their resources effectively, this including budgeting, saving and understanding consumer rights so that they would become empowered. Individuals are better equipped to navigate through the challenges of rising living costs and also make a prudent financial choices. In our pursuit of solution, the rising living costs, let us remember that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. By embracing a multi-pronged strategy that includes financial education and support for local industries, we can address this challenge comprehensively. These strategies offer other benefits that would shape our country in terms of development, economy, and environmentally. Initiatives such as Package Rancangan Economy, which were implemented under the leadership of Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, in order to address economic challenges. This package involved a combination of fiscal measures, like as Muhadab said just now, and also aim at boosting economic activity, protecting jobs, and supporting vulnerable groups. A well-developed approach that can cover different aspects It is our collective responsibility to explore alternative avenues and find creative solutions that will uplift the lives of all Malaysians and contribute to a thriving and resilient nation. With that, Yang Berhormat Speaker, I also would like to congratulate all. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate to all of the debaters for the, I think, the best session that we can witness just now. Especially Daniel Sekanda, you are too excited. All right, thank you. That's all. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Masjid Tanah. Saya persilakan Yang Berhormat Tuan Chong Zimin, Ahli Parlimen Kampar, untuk memberikan pandangan beliau.
Terima kasih Datuk Tuan Speaker, Senator Wabi Fuzia, MP bagi Masjid Tanah. To all our young parliamentarian debaters, welcome and thank you for having this session. So it was a very engaging and a very fiercely debated session. So the government MP started with, TVH started with definition of cost of living and saying that the minimum wage only cover basic needs and is one of the lowest in Southeast Asia. So it will not hurt the economy. That's the government MP's point, but it wasn't elaborated. So the opposition harped on it, saying that Dinesh say that the minimum wage does not tackle rising cost of living and is only restricted to low-income earners. So, but you need to remember this, okay? When you increase the minimum wage, those middle-income workers' wage will also be incrementally increased. So let's say in a company, you increase the 1,005 worker to 1,008. The 1,008 workers will also be increased. So it's a cascading effect. So it is not really true. And the next government MP saying that the raising minimum wage will empower low-income earners, and then opposition continue to harp on it, saying that minimum wage is for low-income workers. How about middle income? And the opposition MP says that the main problem is to solve cost of living issue. You cannot just raise the minimum wage, you need to solve the cost of living. But this is mutually exclusive. You can raise the minimum wage, at the moment you can also try to decrease the cost of living. So it's not actually true. So I'm a bit, because the government MPs didn't really rebutted this point, so actually you all should have taken this point on, okay? And one of the opposition MP, Krishani, said that if you increase minimum wage, low-skilled workers will be replaced by skilled workers. But in actual fact, it doesn't work like that, because you cannot use a 5,000 worker to replace a 2,000 or 1,500 worker job. But what will happen when you increase minimum wage? The company, initially, they only need 3, let's say, low-paid workers. Maybe they will retrench one of it, they use 2. So that's economics. If you look at the minimum wage model, it's actually a demand and supply of labor force. When you set a minimum wage, you are setting actually a ceiling. That means there will be a short of supply, there will be unemployment. So this is what we need to solve. If you want to set a minimum wage, you must make sure that you can solve this shortage of employment. And also, the opposition harped on one point, saying that if we increase the minimum wage, this will cause inflation. Okay, is this true? If you think of it, the minimum wage is only mainly for B40. When you increase the minimum wage for B40, are they going to use the money to buy luxury goods or more important goods? They will only buy basic necessities. And all these basic necessities, we have price control. So it is not entirely true as well. But the opposition went on saying that when you increase minimum wage, what about the middle income wage? So you are contradicting yourself. At the same time, you say you want to increase the middle income earners. You want to increase them to help solve the living. But at the same time, you're saying that when you increase your salary, it causes inflation. So you see the point here. So I go back to the opposition solution. You say that one, you want to increase the tax for the rich. So this was what the government did in budget 2023. But remember, to what extent you want to increase the tax for the rich? Because T20 already contributed 85% of the income tax. And there are ways that the rich can escape personal taxes by setting up a company. They can set up Sendirian Berhad, they can invest in shares. So that's the way, when you tax a company too high, we create another problem. company from FDI will not come to invest in Malaysia. Instead, they go to Hong Kong, very low company tax rate. They go to Singapore, very low company tax rate. So to what extent you want to tax the rich? So maybe we can have a better solution, because it can be controversial, which is bring back the GST, and then we exempt all the basic necessities. Okay, this may be one of the solutions. And also, the opposition mentioned about progressive wage rate. Government MP also mentioned about progressive wage rates. I think that's something that we can agree upon. That means we set a minimum wage, but it's a progressive based on the productivity. So I think the more debate should be focused on how to increase the productivity. So if we can increase the whole productivity of the economy, the wage will automatically increase based on the market demand. So I think that's all for my commentary. So again, I congratulate all of you that participated in this debate. Okay, also I see some of the gem. So I hope to see you one day in Parliament, okay, inside the Sidang Dewan Rakyat, okay, not outside, okay. Thank you.
Terima kasih Yang Berhormat. Thank you to both. Now we go back to a very important part of this whole session, mengundi. Ahli-ahli perwakilan, ahli-ahli yang berhormat sekalian, sekarang saya kemukakan masalah kepada majlis bagi diputuskan. Masalahnya ialah bahawa usul 4 daripada pihak kerajaan seperti yang tertera dalam aturan urusan mesyuarat hari ini di nombor 4 hendaklah disetujukan. Ahli-ahli perwakilan Parlimen Belia yang bersetuju kata bersetuju. Yang tidak bersetuju kata tidak.
Belah bagi.
Macam mana nak decide ni? Saya rasa tadi lebih suara yang dia nanti tu relax. Dia saja nak bagi suspense sikit. Tapi saya rasa tadi lebih suara yang mengatakan bersetuju, usul disetujukan. Tapi bagaimanapun saya nak mengambil peluang untuk mengucapkan tahniah dan syabas kepada semua atas kualiti perdebatan yang diberikan tadi. Saya harap ini menjadi pengenalan pertama kepada sesi debat Parlimen dan semoga ini menjadikan pengenalan yang menambah minat untuk masing-masing lebih mengenali sistem Parlimen kita, insya-Allah. Sekian, terima kasih dan saya pulangkan. Sebelum saya pulangkan, ahli-ahli perwakilan, persidangan hari ini ditangguhkan sehingga pada suatu tarikh yang belum ditetapkan lagi. Saya pulangkan kembali kepada pihak penganjur majlis. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, YB Datuk Wan Saiful, for chairing the debate session. Thank you also to YB Datuk Wira Mas Ermiati and YB Chong Zamin for contributing your opinions. Next, we are pleased to invite YB Senator Hajah Fuzia binti Saleh, Deputy Minister of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living, to deliver her closing speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat petang. Salam Malaysia Madani. Yang berhormat Datuk Wan Saiful Wan Jan, MP for Tasik Glugo, our speaker just now. Yang berhormat Datuk Wira Mas Ermiati binti Samsudin, MP for Masjid Tanah. Yang berhormat Tuan Chong Zimin, MP for Kampa, and all of you debaters. I had a truly enjoyable moment watching all of you and imagining that one day you will actually be in the house. And the rowdiness that was projected by the opposition really reminds me of what it's like in the real chambers. But anyway, let me address the issue of the cost of living. By definition, the cost of living is the expenses, as you say. But it has specifically, there are 6 categories of living expenses. Number one, of course, is the food and drink. And number two is the transportation cost. Number three is housing. You need a roof over your head. Number four is education, cost for education. Number five is your utilities cost. You need to pay the bills and your internet cost, of course. And number six is healthcare, which is cost for the medical cost. Yeah. So by definition, these are the 6 areas of the cost of living. And that's my point number one. Yeah. Number two that I would like to highlight is that cost of living versus choice of living. Cost of living is basic needs. It's about what is needed for you to live decently. Yeah, in a decent house, with education, able to pay the bills, have food on the table. It's not about whether you want to have Starbucks or kopi kampung, you know. That's what I mean by choice of living and cost of living. So sometimes students say, oh, apa cost of living so high? But they go to Starbucks. So it's not about that. Okay. So number two is about cost of living versus choice of living. And number three, you were talking about minimum wage. Actually, I would like to bring to you a point about disposable income. Actually, it's the disposable income that you have is what that determines whether you're able to manage the cost of living. What is disposable income? Disposable income is your income, your wage, minus the cost of living. If you have surplus, meaning if it is positive, that means you have a disposable income. But if it is negative, meaning that whatever income you have, you're not able to pay the bills, or you pay the bill this month, but you're not able to pay it next month, or your rental is in arrears, or your car is always being taken by the kena tarik, yeah. This is or you have too much. You use a credit card and you can't pay it. So this is when you have problem. So disposable income is something that we should be thinking about. And how do we manage this? Let's look at the framework of the economy Madani. There are two thrusts. One is raising the ceiling and the other one is raising the floor. With regards to raising the ceiling, we're talking about raising the economic status of the country. We're talking about having investors invest in the country. We're talking about highly skilled jobs being offered. Growth in GDP, for example. This is one, and we want to be one of the strongest in the top 30 countries in the world, which is strong in terms of economy. So that's raising the ceiling. At the same time, we are also raising the floor. This is where my ministry comes in. How do we mitigate with the population which is at the floor? Okay, to ensure that they have disposable income. So this is where the subsidies come in. This is where the social assistance come in. This is where I'm very glad to hear that one of you spoke about Jualan Rahmah. This is initiatives by the government to ensure that there is surplus. Whatever wage they bring in, there is surplus. So we will address those who don't have that disposable income while we develop the economy. There will come a time, I assure you, when everybody don't have to worry about the cost of living. Because they have income, they have a big disposable income. So they don't really care, I mean, whether it's kopi, chap, hang tuah, or whether it is Starbucks, because they do have that disposable income. So this is where we're heading, and this is where we want to go to. This is where the country should go to. And let me also share with you what are the issues that we are doing with regards to mitigating this, raising the floor. We control some food items. We subsidize many items as well. And with the Jualan Rahmah, we really target the subsidies for Jualan Rahmah, especially in the mobile Jualan Rahmah. We go to the B40 areas, we go to the low-cost flats, so that with whatever income they have, they're able to manage their cost of living. So this is what we're doing in the ministry. However, I believe that this should not be the way forward forever. I believe that the rakyat and the people should be able to enjoy a quality of life. The rakyat and the people of Malaysia must have decent, must be able to enjoy a decent lifestyle. To be able to bring their children and have fun like other kids. Remember, I'm sure you have heard of Menu Rahmah. And now we have 2,849 outlets offering Menu Rahmah. It used to be where children from the not so well-off families just look at other children celebrating their birthdays at McDonald's. I'm sure you can empathize with that situation. Not everybody can bring their children to McDonald's. But now with Menu Rahmah, they can bring their children and have and celebrate their birthday at McDonald's with the Menu Rahmah. So this is what we're doing. And what I want to share with you is regards to how you, the young people, can be the game changer. We are in a free market economy. In a free market economy, it's very important to understand about supply and demand. Sometimes the public, the people, expect the government to control everything. We cannot be controlling everything. We cannot be controlling the prices of all items. Otherwise, we will not be Malaysia. We will be North Korea. So you see, it's important to understand that in a free market economy, it's the consumers that make the decision. And I personally think that the consumers, the young consumers like all of you, can be that game changer. How do you determine the supply? By making decisions about what you choose. I'll give you an example. Our ceiling price for chicken is RM9.40 per kg right now in Semenanjung. And for months, okay, when we became government, the inflation rate was at 4.0%. And for months, we hear that the farmers, they say that it's impossible to bring the price of the chicken down. But what did we do? With the Jualan Rahmah, and we really worked very hard with the Jualan Rahmah, and we offered one whole chicken at RM10. Imagine, RM9.40 per kg before that. And one chicken is about 1.8 kg, 1.5 small chicken, 1.8, 1.7 kg. But we offered at RM10 for the Jualan Rahmah bergerak, the mobile ones. We call it the kedai cari rakyat, where the kedai goes to the rakyat. Yeah, the rakyat don't have to go to the kedai, but the kedai goes to the rakyat. So it goes to all the kampung and, with the lorries and we don't pay for the air condition, we don't pay for the rental, so they're able to offer at a very good price with some subsidy from the government. And when we started offering the chicken at RM10, we realized that the hypermarkets had to follow. because people were going after this jualan rahmah. People waited for the jualan rahmah. People wanted chicken at 10 ringgit per chicken, whole chicken, not 9.40 per kg. So the market, this is a free market, remember? So when people don't want to buy from supermarket, the supermarket are forced to lower the price. Even though technically they say it's impossible, the price of chicken feet have not changed. We still import most of our chicken feet. But why is it they're able to comply to the market demand, you see? So it's so important, it's very, very important for the public to understand that if you make the right decision, then the market will follow. Many so often a time when you hear ministers say, I won't say it, but I quote what other ministers used to say. They say, ayam mahal jangan makan ayam. That's what they say, and people laugh, and people make fun. But however, there is some truth in it. But how I'm going to say is that it's your choice. You decide. Because if the head of the family say, this is our disposable income, and our choice is to buy it from the jualan rahmah, or our choice is not to buy chicken for this week, then what will happen? The market will have to follow the demand, you see. I see, and I foresee actually, my vision is that young people can be empowered to be smart consumers. You need to know your rights. You need to know how you control the demand and supply. And finally, I believe that if you do it right, you will be in a position to control the market. And I believe that all of you, having listened to all of you, I believe you can be the advocates for this. Do you agree with me? Yes. Yeah. I think you should give a clap to yourself. Well done. Clap on the table, Parliament style. Yes, it's a truly enjoyable session indeed. And I hope that I have more sessions with you in the future. And as I say, I wish you all the best. And I'm hopeful that we can retire early. I was talking to YB Mas. We can retire early because we have young people who are able to take over from us. But whatever it is, we will be celebrating our National Day for the 66th time. And may our country grow stronger economically, and may our country foster good faith amongst us, harmony between the various races, regardless of what our race or religion is. We are all Malaysia. And we love our country. Yes. Selamat menyambut Hari Kebangsaan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, YB Senator Haja Fuzia, for the speech just now. Moving on, the moment we all have been anticipating has come. Who is the best debater for this motion topic? With that, I would like to invite YB Senator Haja Fuzia, Deputy Minister of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living, along with YB Dato' Wan Saiful, YB Dato' Wiramas Ermiati, and YB Chong Zamin, to announce the winner, accompanied by the judges from IRI, MIDP, and Kini Events. The best debater will receive a trophy made from sustainable bala wood, sponsored by MTCC, and a lifetime subscription from Malaysia Kini. For all the debaters here, you will also receive a free Malaysia Kini subscription for 3 months. The best debater award goes to Muhammad Adam bin Muhammad Ashraf. Congratulations to the best debater, Muhammad Adam. Once again, we would like graciously thanks to our partner, Collaborative Partner International Republican Institute IRI, Supporting Partner Parliament of Malaysia and Ministry of Youth and Sports, Soft Skills Training Partner MIDP, Metaverse Partner EDT, Airline Partner My Airline, and all our co-partners and media partners. Once again, well done debaters! For viewers out there, you are still able to vote for your favorite statements and most popular debater at the voting page for a month until the end of September. Stay tuned to our website and social media pages. Thank you all for staying till the end of the show. And thanks to the viewers for watching live streaming throughout the whole event. With this, it's the end of all our debate sessions for today. That is all from me, Siti Zubaida binti Rosman as the MC for today. Good evening, and I hope to see you all at our next Metaverse debate of GenZ at the Podium next month. Goodbye and safe journey home. Thank you.